Hello, I'm Sean Richards of Not a Yes Man's Economics, and today's subject is land down under. There have been various developments affecting the Australian economy, and there's been one thing here that's a clear change. One of the things I used to debate with a place called the World Economic Forum was the fact that Australia hadn't had a recession for so long. Well, let's face it, who would if you had their commodity resources? But one, sadly, has finally turned up. And this has been driven by the virus pandemic that's affecting so much of the world. If we look into the detail here, we see some familiar and some different patterns. The actual impact on Australia, if the Reserve Bank there is right, is going to be slightly less than, for example, we're seeing in Europe or expecting in the States. They think that there'll be a 6% decline in the economy this year, so in terms of GDP. Well, there's something here that's familiar. I don't know if many of you have watched The Magic Roundabout in the past and the character Zebedee, but we get the boing. He only has two phrases, boing and time for bed. The boing bit in the fact that we're going to get it all back next year, virtually 5% as opposed to the 6% drop. I don't think that's especially likely, but we'll have to wait and see. In terms of monetary policy, then things have got rather familiar. Australia kept interest rates in having some for quite a while, but now the cash rate is 0.25%. So a familiar pattern of being either zero or near to zero. And it has a new innovation in that it's copied Japan in that it's setting its 3-year bond rate at 0.25% as well. In fact, tomorrow it sets out to buy some more bonds to keep it there. Now, this kicks in several areas in terms of my analysis. One is that this is essentially financing the Australian government. We're seeing this in so many places now. So-called independent central banks, it turns out, actually are a way of keeping government bond yields cheap, allowing governments to spend more. And there's an additional kicker here, which you'll be feeling like a bar of chocolate or all Christmases coming at once, which is, I did say 3-year bonds. It's intervening at that level. That'll boost the housing market. How? Well, longer term mortgage rates or fixed mortgage rates tend to be sort of associated with shorter dated bond yield. So as you can see, bringing that down, well, hopefully from their point of view, reduce mortgage rates, give the housing market a boost. So all these things key in together. There's another factor here, and central bankers are pack animals. So after sort of picking a policy from Japan, they've also picked one from the UK, from the Bank of England. They have what we call here the Term Funding Scheme. What does that do? That supplies cash to the banks at the bank rate, as we'd call it in the UK, cash rate in Australia. So they'll get it at 0.25%. So far, around about 27 billion Australian dollars have been supplied in this way. Now, why does this thing matter? What does it do? Well, it's claimed it boosts small business lending. We've had 7 or 8 years of it in the UK and it hasn't done that. Where it goes is the mortgage market. The UK pattern was that mortgage lending was boosted via mortgage rates being lower. I remember looking at it, and mortgage rates are very quickly 1% lower. Later in the programme, Bank of England declared that some mortgage rates had gone 2% lower. So that's the sort of scale of impact that's possible here. Different circumstances, of course. Mortgage rates are lower in the first place. This is a familiar pattern whereby central banks operate, but really, for all their rhetoric, there's 2 areas where they're playing. Helping governments to borrow cheaply, helping mortgage borrowers to borrow cheaply as well. Thank you.